What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Pens and Tea, Tuesday's Tea Time, aka Triple T. Man, it has been a hot minute since I have put up one of these. I'm so sorry. And that I'm gonna jump right in and to just lay out my excuses, aka, news about me. I got a new gig recently. I got a new job, so I've been training for almost 3 weeks now, about 12-hour days. The last couple days have been a little bit lighter, but I've been so tired. So tomorrow I have the day off. Tonight I'm home a little bit earlier than normal, aka it's still light outside. So I thought, I missed my peeps. I miss you guys. So I'm gonna make a Tuesday's tea time. My regular scheduled videos have still been going up live as usual every Monday and Friday noon Eastern Standard Time. So check those out if you haven't already. I got a really cool one planned for this Friday, so stay tuned for that. I also got a new pen delivered to me today, and I'm just gonna say it's the first pen I've ever had professionally ground. I have not inked it up yet, but it is beautiful looking. And I'm not going to tell you anything about it, but if you head over to my Instagram, you'll probably see pictures, because I know myself, in about 5 minutes after I'm done filming this video, I'm not going to be able to not post on my Instagram, which is Pens and Tea as well. So you'll probably find out what it is there, but I'm going to try my hardest to keep it a secret. Shh, not really. So let's make a tea, because I feel like I really need one. Today I'm gonna make the Tazo chai tea that comes in a box like such. I have reviewed this one before. This one I really like going to when I feel like I just need a hug, a little warm hug. It's a Starbucks brand actually. And I really like it. It's a bit of a more mild chai than some of the ones I've had before. And because of that, I actually steep it a little bit longer. The box suggests to steep for 5 minutes. I actually steep these guys for 7. And then I find it's like perfect. But it's just a plain chai, if that's a thing. Because black tea, ginger, cinnamon, black pepper, cardamom, cloves, star anise, and it's organically grown. So yeah, I like it. If you haven't had a chance to check out any of Tazo's teas, check them out because they're really good. I really like their Earl Grey version, which I still like twinning slightly better, but I do like it. And they have another one, a green one. It's like a mint flavor that is bomb.com. It is amazing. So while I'm making that, I thought I would answer some questions from a billion years ago when you guys watched my last video. Okay, love you, bye. So I asked a whole bunch of questions and I got a really good response. So guys, thank you as always for leaving comments. My question of the day for last Tuesday was, what is your holy grail pen? And I got a whole bunch of different responses. From Pilot Vanishing Points with, Rodin in it. Also the Visconti Homo Sapiens, which was mine. I've heard some Pelikan 1000s. I heard, what else did I hear? The Platinum Century 3776. Still one of my favorite pens to this day. I have a soft spot for the Chartreuse Blue. I don't know. But I have a soft spot in my heart for that one, particularly with a fine nib. So guys, thank you very much for answering. If you guys haven't checked out the comments of the last video yet, please do, because you guys love some really wicked pens. And now my list just got bigger, so thanks. I got a question / ask favor, sort of, from John Lee. He said, hey, I was wondering if you could do a loose leaf 102. I'm getting more into it and there's a lot that I don't know. Recently I'm wondering, what is the re-steeping process? Which teas work? How much longer to steep for whichever of the tea? How many times is worth re-steeping? And I imagine it depends on the tea. Also, I think I heard in one of your videos a certain tea needs to be dried before re-steeping. So which do and which don't, and how long between steeping is too long. Also, something about different types of tea, which go good with flavorings like milk and sugar. And for your next triple tea, I'd love to hear about your job. I want to know what I could do to afford to travel as much as you and own as many pens, inks, and teas as you. John, that is quite a question, so thank you. I could definitely flesh out a T102 video. To quickly summarize, what's going on. Basically, with the re-steeping, it just means that when you have a pre-bagged tea like this, it isn't considered loose leaf. So the tea is ground into almost like a powder, whereas when you make a like actual loose leaf tea, the actual leaves are there. So just for example, like this is a little bag, right? So it's just gonna be completely ground in. Whereas if you have loose leaf tea, my lighting is kind of horrible on this, but you actually get open leaves rather than it being more processed. Kind of like if you think of cheese, if you think you got a giant wheel of cheese, a giant block of cheese, like yay big, versus like a slice of like Kraft singles or like American cheese or something like that. It's still technically cheese, it's still tea, it's just been further processed. So tea bags in general, I usually don't recommend re-steeping, aka just using them twice. So just using them in the exact same way as you used them the first time, but again, using it twice. I don't generally recommend with tea bags because most of the time, they're gonna taste almost like a little metally, and just too weak, too gross. As far as loose leaf tea goes, you generally can re-steep these, aka use the same leaves in the tea bag that you were using twice, again in the exact same way you used it the first time. As for which teas I think would work best for doing that, the stronger the flavor, the better. So most black teas, most pu'er teas, probably most oolong teas, potentially even a lot of the rooibos teas. Herbal and white teas may not work as well because they tend to be more on the delicate flavor rather than like strong in your face. So for example, like a chai tea could definitely be reused because the flavoring that's in the tea is going to be able to last into that second cup. Not to say you can't try steeping basically any tea that exists twice. You would just have to then lean into the latter part of your question is how long do you let it steep for? That is gonna be trial and error. Generally speaking, you're gonna wanna add an extra 2 to 3 minutes on your steep time that you did the first time. So if you're making a black tea and you let it steep for 3 minutes for cup number 1, if you're using the same tea leaves again for cup number 2, then you're probably gonna wanna let it steep for 5 to 6 minutes because most of that flavor went into your first cup. So in order to get the full benefit of the second cup, you're really going to want to steep it for at least another 2 to 3 minutes, depending on your own taste. So you may want to give it a sip here and there just to kind of check it out. Another part of your question was, what teas can you put what into? Again, that's your own preference. Sugar, you could pretty much put in any tea. It doesn't matter the kind, and it won't really alter the flavor too much. Milk will certainly alter the flavor. Milk in general, you're gonna wanna stick more towards black teas, or even a good amount of pu'er tea. I probably wouldn't stray too far from that. If you put milk into like a rooibos, a white, herbal, anything like that, it's gonna muddle the flavor and you're most likely not gonna like it. So general rule of thumb to me is if I wouldn't, if it doesn't look like coffee, then don't put milk in it. So if it's more of a clear liquid, then it's not going to require milk. If the liquid is very, very dark, like steeping a black tea or most pu'er teas would be, then I would maybe say, okay, venture into the milk territory and try it out. Again, it's up to your own preference. You could put milk in a white tea. I personally wouldn't, because I personally think that's really gross. But again, it's personal preference. So that's what I would kind of roll with from there. And I forgot already the second part of your question. Oh, my job. Speaking of the intro, right? So I am with a company that I can't actually tell you with, but it is a magical fruit. It's a computer company, basically. And I got a new position there, and I really like it. It keeps basically me busy for 9 hours a day. Once I'm through training for 12 hours a day, where I'm basically constantly on my feet for 9 hours, doing things with my hands, my head, and just going all out, to the point where half the time when I realize what time it is, it's like, oh crap, I gotta go home in like 2 hours. And I really like that. I can't stand anything where I have to sit. I mean, as you can tell, just standing here for 12 minutes and 30 seconds, I already can't stand still. I'm moving all around. So I like the fact that it keeps me busy. I manage a lot of like inventory and things like that. So constantly having to figure things out. I can't imagine, the only thing that sucks about it is that I don't get to use my pens. Which I think is why I like doing this, because then I can talk about it, then I can use it, I can do reviews, and then I can just like go bananas. But as far as, being able to afford pens and stuff like that, you'll be able to afford a pen no matter what job you do. You just have to be able to budget for it, and you have to be able to save for it. And especially once you start getting into like the higher ends, then for sure you're gonna need to budget and save. And I mean, the last six-ish videos that have come out have all been borrowed pens, so they're not actually mine. So definitely having friends helps a lot. So John, thank you for the super packed question. Appreciate it. Moving on now. Elspeth Barlow says, thank you for answering my question, Pens and Tea. First of all, you said my name right. Sweet. I'm actually in the UK, so I've been heavily researching into pens, notebooks, companies here in the UK. I've been watching your channel and Goulet Pens for advice slash recommendations. My next notebook are going to be a Rhodia notebook due to the paper quality with fountain pens. It was actually your Rhodia notebook review that helped my decision making. Oh, well, thank you. I was looking to buy the Leuchtturm 1917, but decided the ghosting would annoy me as I like to write on both sides of the paper. Also, they seem to be sold out everywhere. That happens, yeah. Bullet journaling right now has just taken Leuchtturm through the roof. One last thing, have you used Rhodia stapled notebooks before? Am I right in thinking the only difference with this notebook is the paper compared to the Webby? Besides one being softback and one being hardback. All that jazz, yes. So first of all, Rhodia is amazing. I have not used a staple bound Rhodia short of the dot pad and the line pad. So I haven't used a staple bound notepad or like notebook, but I've used the dot pads and line pads. So if that's specifically what you're asking, then yes, I have. And they're wonderful. I have zero complaints. The paper quality to me is right on par with the web notebook. The only difference is that one is in a pad and one's obviously in a notebook. The notebook is ever so slightly more coated than the dot pad is. I specifically use the dot pad a lot for writing samples, the ones that I will actually keep, so I can log the inks that I've used. So they're wonderful. Pretty dang close. I would say it's negligible as far as the difference in my opinion goes. I've used a few web notebooks now, and I've definitely used my fair share of the dot pad and line pad. I prefer the dot pad over the line pad just because I have line notebooks. But basically, yeah, they're great. They're gonna work for whatever you want to put on it. The Leuchtturm 1917, yeah, you're definitely going to get some ghosting. It's not going to stop you from writing on both sides. Like, it's not like it's illegible. You can definitely read it. You'll just see a little bit of it. So to me, I write on both sides, no problem, and it doesn't bother me. But if you want zero ghosting, then Rhodia is probably going to be your best bet, especially if you don't have an ink that's like just pouring out of there like a fountain. But I really like the Leuchtturm. Moving on to the next question, we have Labyrinth Rock Gal, who left Visconti Van Gogh Fountain Pen Self-Portrait Medium as the Holy Grail pens, one of them. Visconti Homo Sapiens London Fog. That one is beautiful. I have had the pleasure of using it. I don't own it, but I have briefly tried it. Amazing. I've been wanting to try the TWSBI just because I see some people using them with their traveler's notebooks and chucking them in their purse. I still have my schoolgirl memory of leakage in my book bag, so I'm a bit wary. So that's the next question. Best pens for everyday carry. Oh boy. So I have a love-hate relationship with TWSBI pens, which you may or may not be able to tell in my reviews. I don't know. I try and stay, bias-free as possible. Some of my TWSBIs I like, aka my Eco and the 580 Diamond All. I like those. My others, not so fond of. Not that it's not because they're not built well or anything like that, with the exception of the TWSBI Mini. That one cracked. It's KO'd. That one's just no bueno. But to me, yeah, TWSBIs are a pretty good carry-around pen. Specifically if you get like the aluminum version, so the TWSBI Diamond 580 All. That AL essentially stands for aluminum. They have, I believe, now made mini ALs, which I would be interested in trying. The mini regular that I have, I like the size of. I like that you can twist on the cap to post it and make it a full-length pen. But the fact that it cracked by the grip section irritates me that they would even still sell those in the first place with that issue. But that is a whole other ballgame right there. But the AL, the aluminum, is meant to stop that from happening. So I would be interested in trying that. So any of the TWSBI like all aluminum versions, I would definitely recommend as an everyday carry. If you don't mind a pen that has a bit of heavier weight to it, the Karas Kustoms pens are really nice. Those, I mean, literally you can do pretty much anything to it. In Brian Goulet's video that he did about when he started carrying that, he literally threw it across the parking lot and drove over it with his car. And it's still good to go. I mean, there's some things and scratches, but it's still good to go. So you can really put that through the paces. And I took that with me all around Europe, and it looks brand new. But they are heavy pens because they're completely metal. So may be a selling point or not selling point for you. I really like Pilot Metropolitans as well, for like hack around, carry around pens, because primarily they're metal. The nibs I think are phenomenal, especially for like a $15 to $20 pen, and they're a $15 to $20 pen. So if someone gets a hold of it and bends the nib or the tines, if someone gets a hold of it and throws it out, or something happens, it does manage to break or something, then it isn't too bad as far as that goes. I haven't experienced leaks with any of them other than the TWSBI Mini, the plastic version, which of course cracked. But even that one, with it being cracked, never gushed out. It just kind of trickled into the cap. So those are the three that I would usually consider carrying around with me if I travel. Or I just don't want to have to think about anything, possibly breaking or anything like that. So those are the three that I would kind of start looking into, and go from there. Liz McGuire had a comment from my last video as well. She goes, FWIW, I don't know what that means. From what I've heard and what I can see on Goulet Pen's Nibnook tool, TWSBI pens, while made by German nib manufacturers, are closer to Asian specs than European specs. I'd say TWSBI Extra Fine is between a Platinum Preppy Fine and Extra Fine. So TWSBI is not a German company, but they do have German nibs. I believe TWSBI is Taiwanese, but yeah, their nibs are basically German. As far as them being closer to Asian specs, I would still disagree with that. I own pretty much every nib size from an extra fine to a 1.1 in TWSBI, because I think I own pretty much every modern TWSBI that there is, like any current TWSBI that there is. I can't think of any that I'm leaving out. And all of them write like European pens to me. The extra fine is definitely an extra fine. It's not like it's, you know, a Lamy extra fine, which admittedly is a little bit broader than the TWSBI. But everything else I find closer to German. If that hasn't been your experience, then that's awesome. But in mine, that's what I've experienced, is that they do tend to be closer to German sizes. They also tend to be, like 99% of the time, significantly drier than European counterparts. So that could be something as well that you're noticing, because they are dry writers. They don't let a lot of ink go. So typically dry writers will write a slightly finer line than their German wet counterparts would. But I still wouldn't put them on the same page with Platinum, because Platinum, for their extra fine and fines, are extraordinarily fine compared to TWSBI in my opinion, and their German counterparts. Once you start getting into the medium broads and all that kind of stuff, then they average out a little bit. They may still be slightly on the finer side, but they're more comparable. But yeah, the fines and extra fines, Platinum is going to be quite fine compared to German. But that's just been my experience. Yeah, so I don't know. Larry Barone said, I'm drinking black tea from Starbucks. I love this tea. Nothing in it, just plain tea. If you haven't tried it, please do and let me know what you think. I will, especially since I just made myself one of these. And I've tried a few from Starbucks now and I'm really impressed. Typically I don't usually go to Starbucks just because they're more expensive, but I will, and I'll let you know. So somehow I have managed to just talk my way into 30 minutes already. So I'm gonna wind this down just so that it doesn't become like an hour-long thing, and so that I can edit it and get it up before noon, you know, just because that's the time that I like to upload them for you. Plus, I just got off work and I'm really, really tired. Such excuses for first world problems, I know. But guys, that's gonna be it for me today. Question of the day for you. What is the most recent pen that you have purchased? And are you the kind of person that likes to instantly kind of, you know, share it with everybody? So in my case, I just got a pen in today, like I was saying earlier, and I want to hold it a secret so that I can announce it in my next video, but I know I'm probably going to spoil it anyways on Instagram because I'm a little child. So what is the last pen that you've purchased, and do you tend to share them as soon as possible, or do you like to kind of hold in the glory for a while? Because I certainly can't. But guys, that's it for me today. Any questions, comments, concerns, anything, like I said, I'm going to continue to try and make these as often as humanly possible. As soon as I get out of training with work as well, I'll start to be able to build up a more consistent schedule. But my Mondays and Fridays should not be impeded by this whatsoever. So comments, questions, concerns, leave them down below. I read them all and I do answer them as soon as I possibly can. If you hit that thumbs up button if you liked it, check out some of my other videos, and as always, please do subscribe because I make videos every Monday and Friday and the occasional Tuesday. Cool. All right, guys, enjoy your night. Peace out.